All right, everybody, welcome back to Three Guys Walking to Culinary School, a podcast about Brian, Tim, and my adventures through culinary school and all of the culinary topics that tickle our fancy nowadays. Guys, welcome back to another episode. I missed you guys. Not having you near me, even virtually, is always a sad part for me.
Miss you too, Jim.
Yeah, feelings mutual.
Seeing you guys always puts a smile on my face. I want to start off with something that I cooked this week. And I use the word cook lightly. I, for the first time, made French onion dip. Now, not French dip like the jus and all that, but like a French onion dip using those delicious salt bomb packet and some sour cream, right? 2 ingredients. I made it. I tried it. Very skeptical because my wife's been talking about this for a couple of years. And she's not like a huge dip fan. But when she told me about it 2 years ago, I'm like, it's probably not great. Like, whatever. Like, I don't know. How could it be better than the pre-made can of cat food French onion dip you get from the supermarket, right? I make this, guys. I put my first chip in there, and, I thought I was the Escoffier of 21st century American culinary cooking. I felt so proud of myself. I thought I created, like, the greatest dish of all time. Well, first I'm going to ask if you guys have tried this. Have you made this and tried it?
I mean, so now what packet did you use? Because I always use the Lipton Onion Soup mix.
That's exactly what I used. I used the Lipton Onion Soup mix.
Oh.
I didn't want to use brands, but I'll say brands because you know what? We like brands and we like their products, so we use it. So Lipton Onion Soup packet, and I did a 24-ounce by accident container of Daisy sour cream. Also,
so now
sour cream.
We
got to do a dollop of Daisy. And I didn't realize it was 16 ounces per package. So I did a packet and a half, kind of mixed the ratios. But literally the first bite I took, because I'm a glutton, I didn't wait. I just dipped the chip in, and I got some like unmoistened onion crunchy to it. Like it didn't like moisten the onion up, and it was just the greatest bite of food I've ever had. I've made it twice in 10 days. Like it's literally, like I forgot to mention the last time, I made it again. And I'm like, no, this isn't a fluke. This is really freaking good. And
I've never made it.
You've never had it?
No, I never had it.
You never had it, never made it. Tim, you?
Yeah, it's an absolute pre-jet game ritual in my house for 20 years.
You lost me at jet game.
I'm sorry.
You lost me at jet game. But so 20 years, 40 years or 20 years?
20 years. If not longer than that.
If not longer. Yeah, it gave me like just a new understanding and a new appreciation for like super highly processed foods. Like I ate that, and suddenly Kraft mac and cheese with the bag, not the powder. It's got to be the bag. Suddenly made so much more sense to me, right? It was like a beautiful mind. All these numbers were popping up. And like all these things, I'm just like, oh my God, it all makes sense now. It's all connected. And I'm like, this stuff is, it creates memories. It's something that you eat and it's consistent the same every single time you have it. And it was just so freaking good. And I've gone through like 2 party size bags of Ruffles Lay's chips. Like, the Ruffles chips.
That's the best chips to
it's the best dipping chip. It's the best dipping chip. And like, it wasn't big in my house. Like we never really got it. I used to get, again, like I said, the canned one from the supermarket. I don't know the brands. There's a bunch of them. But it was always like, compared to what you make here, it's a little slimier. It was a little
there's a weird consistency
like
to it. But
I'm
sure
it's oddly like tannish brown color.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they got to put something in it to make it shelf stable because they're not even refrigerating it. It just sits there.
Yeah, like
on the shelf,
like distilled petroleum or something.
Yeah, I'm sure there's all kinds of things.
And that nasty can just absorbing all those metals.
I have a memory. I remember being a kid, and my dad making the onion dip directly into the sour cream container, and thinking he did some kind of like sorcery. Like I was so like, how did you do that? And now like I look back on it, I'm like, that's so silly, but it's one of those like weird memories that I have.
He just didn't want to dirty a dish.
Yeah, but I was like, what kind of sorcery are you practicing, old man?
That's literally how I made it. I made it twice, in the 24-ounce and a 16-ounce, and I literally just went in the container. It took a little longer because I didn't want to spill anything, but I made it in the container because I'm not going to sit there washing another dish.
Yeah,
man was a genius. Man was a genius.
Exactly.
Take your time and enjoy. Is there any like other kind of like quick? I mentioned Kraft mac and cheese, and I didn't have that growing up. I had that later in life, so it doesn't have like an emotional connection. So is there anything that you guys grew up that you remember like loving and finding out like, oh, this is super simple, and it, I enjoyed it so much, and it always made me so happy whenever we had it. I feel like I don't know, dude. I feel like I missed out on this ultra processed stuff. We had it growing up, and I'll let you speak in a minute. But we had it growing up, but all the ultra processed stuff we had was like low calorie, low sugar, because it was like the '80s, and that was what was popular. Like all that like diet food that no one lost weight off.
I feel like you definitely had snack wells in your house.
Oh God, I don't remember. I don't think was it full fat? If it was full fat, no.
No, it wasn't. It was like these devil's food, like cookies that came out. I think it was like the late '80s, early '90s, and people were going like crazy for them.
Really?
To the point where like you would have thought it was like a diet cookie, and like stores were selling out of them. It was a big fad.
Oh wow, no, I remember that. We probably did, but my mother probably didn't share that with us. She kept the good like light snacks, and we had like Melba toast and cream cheese. Like that was our friggin' '80s and '90s breakfast. Like it was terrible. But we got cereal and stuff like that. I'm not complaining. Yeah, but it's just so funny to think like something so simple, two simple ingredients, and Lipton does all the heavy lifting by mixing all that together, and again, like, yo, don't wait, just dip it right. You mix it, and you get a little crunchy onion bits to it before it actually get a little moistened and softened. So so good, chef's kiss. I'll be honest, this is what kind of a fat crap I am. I made a little ham and cheese sandwich, and instead of using mayo or mustard, I put just a little slithering of the dip, which I know sounds gross. It's fucking delicious.
No, that actually sounds great.
That shit's so good. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, sort of related. One of the reasons why, like, you ever have ranch in like a wing restaurant, like and you realize like it just tastes. I'm not a big ranch fan, but the ranch in restaurants usually just tastes so much better.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you take the ranch dressing, right? The pre-made ranch dressing, or you can make your own, whatever. But then you add the powdered ranch packets to it. So it's like double the ranch flavor. I mean, sodium has got to be crazy, but I do it at home sometimes, and it's like the best ranch you ever had.
Really? So it's like, it's a game changer. So you're doubling up the ranch. So you're adding ranch powder to ranch.
Yeah, you just add ranch powder to ranch. Sometimes you can overdo it. If you do, just add like some sour cream or something to kind of mellow it out, but you got to double up the ranch flavor.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think I don't like ranch. Like, I mean, I don't not like it. Like, if it's the only option to dip something in and I need a dip, I'll use it. But I don't buy it. Like, I don't bring it to the house. But ranch with a sour cream base sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's like not as watery. It's a little thicker. Oh, exactly. I'm gonna try that. That sounds pretty good, actually.
See, I don't like ranch dressing at all. But one of my favorite things is eating raw vegetables with a ranch dip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that I could do all day.
I think I love I love like raw celery by itself. It's like one of my favorite veggie snacks. Raw carrots, raw celery with a blue cheese or a ranch dip, fantastic, because that's the appetizer to the wings that are coming from Hooters. So like, oh, your veggies are here, the wings are on the way, get ready. But yeah, no, I do love a nice little veggie platter.
There is nothing better than taking that celery, especially if it's good buffalo sauce.
Tell me more.
Scraping off the last bits of the sauce off the plate. Oh.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Food's got a hold on me, man. This is bad. This is bad. Oh man,
food is too good, man.
Food is too good. That's the thing. So Tim, we were having a conversation recently. You told me your kids experienced something that I guess all three of us should have experienced. I think at least all three of us should have experienced. We're in the same age group, growing up recently, and I want you to share this with me because with everyone, because I thought it was a great story.
Yeah. So my kids come home from last day of school parties the other day, and my daughter goes, "Dad, I had the best drink ever. It came in this little plastic barrel, and it was so good." And I was like, "Oh, is it? It's quarter water. I used to drink that when I was a kid. It's one of my favorite things I ever had. As a kid, I loved it, and it reminded me of another story when I moved into my first apartment. and I got to go food shopping for myself for the first time.
Oh,
I remember it was
God.
the first time I was
All
ever
hell
like,
broke loose.
I was on my own. I was in the grocery store, and I'm going down the aisle. I'm going down the beverage aisle, and I see it in the bottom shelf in the box,
So
the
funny.
Little Hugs quarter waters. It's like $3 for the box, and you get like 48 in them or whatever. Whatever. It's like
Yeah, the
something
math was,
crazy.
yeah, you did better than a quarter.
And I remember having this moment of like, I live by myself now. If I want to buy quarter water, I can buy quarter water. And I picked up a case of quarter water and put it in my cart. And it was
So
like
funny.
this, I don't know, it was like this monumentous moment in my being on my own for the first time.
Yeah, adulthood. You ventured into manhood all by yourself. You have quarter
Oh,
waters. You put back the jug of Poland Spring water, and you threw in the quarter water, and it's awesome, man. Yeah, no, that's
When's
funny.
the
That's
last
great.
time you? When's the last time you had one?
it's probably then, honestly. It was
Yes.
probably
That's
that
hilarious.
time.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think I went to a friend's kids party within the last 5 or 6 years, and they might have had it, if I remember correctly. But I haven't had it since then. Probably before that, probably when I was like, I'm talking about late 90s, like late 90s, like while in high school, maybe in high school, junior high school, definitely. Because it
Yeah.
was so easy to go to like my dad's pockets or like his nightstand, grab all the nickels and dimes, grab $1 worth of coins, go to the Habibi and stock up. You get a 25-cent bag of chips, a quarter water. You get at least one like zebra cake, Little Debbie, Swiss roll, something.
Oh, now
And
you're
then you
talking
can
my
pick. Do
language.
you want a little savory? Get an extra chip. Do you want a little sweet? Get an extra, maybe a honey bun for 50 cents. A little more expensive, but you live like a king back then. God forbid you had like $1.25. You can have two drinks and two chips, man. That was that was dinner. That could have been an easy dinner.
Man, the zebra cake. You brought up another one that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Those are so good.
Yeah, what was I
Which
forget what the brand was. It wasn't Little Debbie.
it's a Little Debbie's
Was it Little
product,
Debbie? Okay, yeah.
and they make a zebra cake ice cream now.
Oh,
It's
that's
quite
interesting.
it's quite delicious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Does it have little
But
chunks of zebra
oh
cake in it? Or?
oh, you bet it does.
Oh, that
Oh
sounds
man.
And then have you guys seen for a little while there was like a trend of people like making zebra cakes at home, and I saw there was a lot of videos going around on Instagram and stuff, at least on my feed because maybe I don't know, I'm a fat guy. But
I mean, it's better than gooey duck.
I never understood.
I
I
saw gooey duck in the store the other day. Actually.
Oh, you saw it in person?
Yeah.
Oof.
Sometimes I like to walk around the Asian market.
Oh,
oh,
that
Break,
sounds
but
that's
awesome.
fun.
yeah.
Yeah,
I used to love doing that. We used to have a big H Mart by my old house.
Yeah.
yeah,
That was a
yeah.
lot of fun.
Sometimes that's like an aquarium. Like we went to an Asian market in Brooklyn, and like there was a bucket of frogs, and they were selling them like cheaper than like a pet store would. And I'm like, first of all, why are these at a pet store? Why are they being
Yeah.
sold in a bucket? But like you said, like you see all the fish and every kind of seafood you can think of.
Yeah.
But it's
Anyway.
a fun shopping experience.
The
Any
the
sauce,
one
noodles, everything.
the one by us was really cool. It was like
Mhm.
kind of tucked away in the back corner, but they had like a little like a little street cafe where you could go in
Oh, it's awesome.
and eat. There was like 3 or 4 different like vendors,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it was awesome.
That's
Yeah. We
was it
have
an
that
H Mart?
that here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it H Mart where you guys
H
are?
Yeah.
Mart. Yeah,
H
It's
Mart,
H
yeah,
Mart.
yeah.
Yeah.
H Mart's great. The one by me, it's like 25, 30 minutes away.
yeah.
Fantastic. And they, like you said, food. I didn't do the food. I've only gone twice. And my neighbors swear by it. They say it's fantastic. Like you go have some lunch and then go to your grocery shopping. But I could spend hours in those stores just looking at everything,
Absolutely. Yeah.
trying to find the perfect marinade and stir
It-
fry sauce.
It's funny
Uh,
because y'all have my wheels turning now because I'm thinking about all this delicious like processed foods
Mm.
that I love to enjoy. But one of my biggest dilemmas when I'm at the grocery store is like, don't get me wrong, like I love my zebra cakes and my Doritos and things like that. But I always try to buy like organic meat and organic vegetables and things
Mm.
like that. And I always feel like almost weird when I'm putting my stuff onto the conveyor belt because it's like, oh, there's the zebra cake
Yeah.
right next to the like organic chicken and
Yeah.
the
The
and the
gluten-free
bag of
toast.
organic carrots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
That's kind of fun.
Do you guys tend to buy more organic foods or do you buy conventionally grown food?
I buy almost exclusively conventionally grown food, like produce, meat. I for some reason just have never really like I know organic is better for me. And I in my heart of hearts I know that there's all kinds of things that probably shouldn't be in in the food that I'm buying, but I just can't justify like the extra, 65, 75 cents for a cucumber. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah, and
It's
you
just
multiply that over every piece of fruit or vegetable you have in your basket.
yeah,
That's just expensive.
exactly.
Like, and Tim, I want to ask you a question real quick, but I'm going to say I'll answer. It depends who's eating it, right? In my house, if me or my wife are eating it, we have like separate fruit containers. We're buying conventional, non-organic for the most part, unless the organic's on sale and somehow cheaper than the regular, which happens sometimes. But like, if it's for our son who's eating us out of house and home, just with every organic blueberry that he freaking eats, it's going to be organic. So all his fruit, all his berries, we're going to get all the organic meat for him. But if it's for me and Ashley, we're just gonna likely just have a separate food container, and we have our non-organic fruit in there, and we do it that way. Now, um, certain stores make it hard not to buy organic. Like Whole Foods is really good with that because their 365 brands are. Shout out to Whole Foods and Amazon. We love you guys. Their 365 brands are really good with making things organic and affordable for the most part. So if we're doing the bulk of our grocery shopping there, then absolutely we'll do organic. But again, regular grocery store. If it's for me and my wife, we're probably gonna go regular. Tim, do you think you're leaning towards organic is because you're a farmer now and like you kind of know a little bit more, you got a little bit more inside of the ins and outs? Do you
Yeah,
think
I
that
mean,
has
I've
anything to do with it?
I've definitely read a handful of books and watched a handful of documentaries that have kind of swayed me to lean more that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do, and I'll bring it back to what we talked about last week: bananas.
Mm-hmm.
If you uh, An organic banana, just to me, tastes so much better than a
Oh,
conventionally grown banana. I feel like
Really?
there are certain foods where you can absolutely taste the difference.
oh wow! See, I never really thought of
Okay.
that.
I feel especially in fruit. I think you can taste a huge difference in fruits.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
glad
no,
you
I
said that about bananas because that's actually one of my constant debates. Is like in my area, I think Trader Joe's has the best price on bananas. I usually get my bananas from Trader Joe's, and it's like the conventional bananas are 23 cents each, and the organic ones are 29 cents each. And I'm always like, maybe I could splurge the 6 cents. And
yeah.
Treat yourself this week, Brian. I'm telling you, you'll be happy.
all
Yeah, I'm
right,
gonna try that, to be honest. I'm gonna try it. I never really noticed it. I mean, for me, it's more seasonality. I think where I've noticed a difference in the flavors. But um, another thing you said, banana. I thought about this. If it's like really thick skinned, like if it's a banana, let's say, maybe we'll just buy regular because the pesticides are on that thick skin on the outside. Now, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who are like, no, no, but it seeps through. But I feel like if you peel the skin off and you're just eating the flesh inside there, maybe it's safer. And then we still buy organic and we still soak it in vinegar and water for like 15 minutes, right?
Well,
That's supposed to help with the pesticide.
I think
I'm
I
sorry,
think the
vinegar. I apologize. I take that back. Baking soda and water.
I also I always found this very interesting when we had our first child.
Mm.
They tell you to feed your kid organic milk and whatever. And I it kind of shocked me. If you look at a container of organic milk, the date on it
Hmm.
lasts a lot longer than conventional milk.
That's what we love about that.
really?
That's what we love about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I bought milk 2 nights ago that expires. I'm not going to give dates because it's not going to make sense for anyone, but literally 5 weeks from now. 5 weeks from now
Wow.
it expires. Meanwhile, like the regular little half-gallon jug, maybe a week, maybe 8 days. I don't get that. Why is that, Tim? You're a farmer.
I really, I'll be honest with you, I don't know the science and why that is. I've always
Yeah.
been kind of curious to know, but like I remember after my dad passed away, my mom was like, I'm throwing out milk because I can't drink this all by myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you should buy organic. It lasts longer. And she did. And then we were both like, why is that? But I never really got down to the um the bottom of why that is. I'd love to
Yeah.
find out. If you know
Yeah.
the answer, call in.
Yeah.
Um,
I love
no.
that.
But and then I guess also like I raise chickens on our farm and we have our own eggs. here at the farm, and I feed my chickens exclusively organic food, as well as they live on pasture. And I will say my eggs will blow anything out of the water that you would conventionally get out of the grocery store. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just delicious.
But you have actual organic, actual real cage-free chickens that
Yeah.
are laying your eggs, right? Like
Yeah.
I've read that even in cases where the products are labeled as organic and cage-free eggs specifically, like they're not always cage-free.
Yeah, the rules are pretty how do I put it? They're pretty ridiculous. I mean, straightforward. I mean,
Yeah.
just because a chicken is said to be organic and laying organic eggs, or I shouldn't say organic, but let's say free range, doesn't mean they've ever actually left a barn
Yeah.
or a building, you know.
Yeah.
Really?
I think when people go into the grocery store and they read like, you know, free range eggs or organic eggs, they envision this chicken running on hundreds of yards of pasture.
Mhm.
When I
In slow motion.
believe, and
Yeah.
don't quote me on this, I might be wrong, but I believe as long as a chicken can completely turn around in its cage, it can be considered free range.
That's crazy. That's so deceitful for consumers, man. It's so like, it's just
Yeah.
a lie, you know? It's a lie. It's a marketing ploy. Well, I mean, everything's a marketing ploy, but that's, you know, you think they're healthier because you read or you hear that or you see in documentaries that, you know, animals that aren't stressed produce better tasting food, right? Like they kill cows a certain way because what if they know they're going up to get killed, you know, I forget what it is, their body tenses up right before
Yeah.
they die, and then
The
something gets released in their body, and it, you know,
Mhm.
the meat doesn't taste as good. I guess the same thing.
yeah.
When you think they're cooped up, and you know they're living this forced life, but you're telling me a free range chicken is just a chicken that could do a 360, and
Yeah. There's
so strange to me.
Yeah, there's a great movie out there about an amazing woman named Temple Grandin,
Hmm.
and she raised cows for, you know, for slaughter for beef purposes, and she basically came up with a design that helped the cows feel relaxed before slaughter, and there was a rise in the quality of the meat and whatever.
Wow.
It's actually a really great movie, and she's an extremely interesting woman.
What's
So
her name
if you
again?
get a
Sorry,
Temple Grandin,
Temple Grandin. Okay,
and if you get a chance, check it out.
we'll put a link. We'll put a link
Cool.
to her movie or documentary so people can check it out. That sounds cool. That sounds
Yeah.
cool.
I'm gonna write it
I
down.
I am yeah, no, it's, you know, and they charge so much more for cage free and organic and all this. Tim, going back to the milk lasting longer, being organic. Your eggs need refrigeration because in
No,
Europe, right? In Europe, they
no,
have standards where
I just leave them on the counter.
you leave them on the counter. So
Yeah.
why is that? Why are because in Europe, I've been to Greece countless amount of times. My sister lived there for a while. We went there. We go grocery shopping, and you'd see a wall of eggs, but they weren't refrigerated. They were just on the shelf, right?
Mm.
So is that because it's organic and it can kind of hold better? Is that some sort of um,
Basically because you're getting them from the bird and because you're not washing them or anything, there's
mhm,
a like almost like a protective layer that stays on the shell
mhm.
that doesn't allow really anything to seep through.
Really? That's so
Yeah.
interesting. So do eggs oxidize like the shell's porous? Would you know this?
Yes.
And that makes me up. They are.
Yeah, I believe
Oh
so.
wow, that's cool.
Again, I hate to be quoted on anything because I can
No,
always
I
make
know.
mistakes,
Yeah, I know. Everyone makes mistakes. Yeah, you know, this is just us shooting the shit, but you know.
but yeah, I mean like
Cool.
I know, have you guys seen where people leave the butter on the counter as well?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I never.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I always say I want to do that, but I haven't given into that one yet.
No.
No,
No. I'll
I
take
don't
it out the
trust it.
night before. My father-in-law does it when he visits. We take it out the night before, and it'll be soft and like, you know, it's ready for breakfast. But otherwise, I'm too chicken shit to do that.
That's the other one where I always buy organic butter because
Mhm.
it's another one where I feel like there's a very distinct difference
No, yeah,
in
I agree with you
flavor in
there. Yeah.
organic butter
No,
versus, you know, conventional.
that's interesting. I'm gonna try it out. I
And then
Yeah, I'm
definitely
I
gonna
try
try it out.
bananas. I gotta try bananas this weekend and maybe butter.
I've started to buy like more like fancy like one stick of like fancy upscale European butters that I keep hidden away from the kids when I have my English muffin. It's wonderful.
It's a little treat for yourself.
Absolutely.
A little treat for yourself. And obviously you take care of your kids and you do a great amount of cooking at home. And you show me some Blackstone photos, which is really cool. A few days back, but we'll get into that later on as grilling season progresses. But we kind of want to spend the last bit of this episode talking to our man Brian, who before culinary school, and correct me if I'm wrong, started his brand, his website, his Instagram handle, What I Make for Her. Right, Brian?
Yeah.
Before culinary school, right?
Yeah, I think 2016 was when I first started using that tag.
About a year before. That's cool.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, it's what a gentleman will make for his then. Were you engaged at that point?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think so. No, we were just long. Yeah, we were just
okay. Yeah.
Boyfriend, girlfriend for a long time.
Girlfriend. So it's basically what he cooks for his significant other, his now wife. And I thought it was a great idea because it showcases, at least for me, what food is, the love, right? Because I generally tend to show love by doing. So, like, it's more like acts of kindness that for me showing my love. And I think cooking is like the ultimate act of showing love. So when Brian told me that, and he shared that, I think in culinary school the first time, I thought it was the coolest thing. And I kind of wanted to get into just how you got into it, how, the idea came about, kind of how you went from an idea to a website to a brand to a podcast, because you did have a couple episodes and it was it under that brand or was that your own brand?
Yeah, it was also under I think I called it, what did I call it?
We'll link that too.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it.
We'll link that too, but rolled it out, and being a one-man show, it's not easy to do so. I mean, especially not 6, 7, 8 years ago, when now you can pick your phone up and create a short film basically with all the apps that are available. So, I guess my first, if you can give us a little insight of how it came about, was it just like, did the idea come first? I'm sure the cooking came first. I'm sure because you told us in college you've been cooking for a minute,
Yeah,
that
was
that story. But we're gonna go to 2016, and you said, you know what? I think this needs to be shared because I think it's a great idea. And I think more people need to show love by feeding us. I think it's just.
Yeah, man. Like, thank you for the flattering words. Well, first off, I never wanted to highlight it as like anything special. I think part of me cooking and just sort of doing that is sort of integral to who I am. So, it really was all Nubia's idea. Frankly, she's got the marketing background and she's got the business mind, and she was just like, I think you got something here, and I think people would be interested in it. And because when it comes to food and it comes to cooking, like, we're so opposite one another. Like, I'm kind of a nerd about it. Went to culinary school, for God's sakes. Like, I read about it, I study techniques and all this stuff, and she's just like, well, does it taste good? Can I eat it? That's it. She doesn't really. So she's like,
yeah, is it ready? I don't care.
Yeah, is it ready? Yeah, how long? Yeah. What is it? Is it beef? Is it chicken? Is it pork? It's delicious. I don't know. Yeah, awesome. But she's like, if you're this much into something that I really could care less about, there's probably a bunch of other people like me who are none the wiser and would just think it's interesting that you're kind of a food nerd, right? Because you go down these rabbit holes. So it was really all her idea to sort of publicize it and talk about it in like a branded sort of way. In fact, she came up with the name What I Make for Her.
Right.
I think it was a cool name. Yeah.
It's a great name. It's a great concept. It's great for her for recognizing how much you love, not just A to Z raw meat to finished dish, but the process and how much effort you put into it and how much you studied it.
Yeah.
Because you can taste that difference, right, in the finished product from someone. And we kind of saw that in culinary school. I feel like with our classmates, we're not going to shout anyone out or call anyone out, but you can kind of tell the people who love food and were passionate about it, not just because it tasted good, but because it meant something more than just a finished product on the plate. There were a couple of people that just wanted to cook and be done with it. There were a couple of people who wanted to
Yeah.
be top chefs, but I feel like, especially the three of us, there was a connection there more so than just food, plate, calories, done. And I think that's another reason why we bonded so well, the three of us. But
I, I'm gonna be mushy for a minute here,
I go
and
for it. I love that.
like I remember when Brian had told us about that Instagram account that he had, the
Mm-hmm.
what I make for her. It was one of the things that made me really like you a lot, Brian, when we first met, because for me, like, I love my wife to death. I think my
Mm-hmm.
wife is the greatest person in the world.
I love that.
And for you to just put out an Instagram of like, this is what I make for this woman, and I just thought that was so cool, especially in like the world that we live in, where like it's maybe sometimes monogamy isn't the coolest thing,
Yeah.
but to see you like kind of put that out there, that made me respect you a lot, and I really enjoyed that.
Man, I appreciate it, Tim. Like that's awesome. Yeah, man, it's really just something that I love to do, and I've always sort of been a learner, right? And I feel like with cooking, there's always something new to learn, right? And I think you guys would agree. We all kind of have that interest where, and even like if you go outside of cooking to some of your other interests, like Tim, you being a farmer, I'm sure there's always something new to learn. Like
Oh,
Jimmy
absolutely.
being
Crazy,
a
yeah.
wine and spirits guy, like there's always something new to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that we don't know, and I think being in the culinary world just really allows you to learn at every turn. So
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And now I think my biggest issue is because I've had some ideas too, and I mean none as well put as Tim. I mean that was really well said, uh, and how much it shows of Brian's character and what kind of guy he is, to go out there and do something like that, which I thought was really amazing too. But my biggest thing is like, oh, I have an idea, I'm going to do it, but then who am I to kind of show cooking skills? Like I don't have that background, right? I don't have that experience.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever have, not to say imposter syndrome, but like imposter syndrome? Do you feel like,
Yeah.
hey, maybe I don't belong here? Because again, let's go back to 2016, right? Much less online chefs, right? Much less. Those popular chefs in 2016 were probably actual legit chefs that were taking clips off cooking shows on from TV or something.
Mhm.
Fast forward 8 years later, and everyone's an online chef. And the more I watch it, more I watch the speed cooking and everything, it's less the finished product and more the personality of the chef that we're kind of locked in on. I'm watching
Yeah.
dishes and I'm like, there's no technique here. There's nothing good here. Just a pretty face holding up a thing with a fancy knife, holding up a
Mhm.
finished plate. Like, how did you feel with that? Like, how did you feel like, oh, listen, I'm going to do this. I belong here. Or, did you have feelings of, I don't belong here? Like, I mean, because for me right now, we're starting a podcast. We've never done this before. The three of us collectively produce something out here talking like we know about shit. Like, I still feel like, I still feel like we don't belong. I don't belong here. I'm not speaking for you guys. But like, how did you
Absolutely.
get over that? Because
Yeah,
I'm
no,
still,
absolutely. I who am I to tell people how to cook their eggs?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I absolutely still, even after, right, starting this, what I make for her page and cooking in front of people, and then going to culinary school and actually getting the professional training, and and then working somewhat, and then, like even now, I still have like this imposter syndrome where I feel like, nobody cares what I'm like. Nobody cares. I can't tell you how many like spats me and Nubia get into because I'll make something for dinner and she's like, "Oh, you're not gonna like do any content. You're not gonna take a picture of it or write down what you did." Or I'm like, "Nah, it's not that great." She's like, "You just spent, you spent half an afternoon planning this meal and prepping this meal and
and I'm
plating
sure it was
this
great, right?
delicious food, right?"
Came out amazing, right? She
And
enjoyed
I'm
it, I'm
like,
sure.
I overcooked something a little bit. Like, I'm just so critical of
Mhm.
myself.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. it's hard to get over. It's something that honestly I'm still working on. Yeah.
It's honestly because I feel like we're all, the three of us, like, we're humble dudes, you know, like, you know, we know our faults. We're very self-aware, like, you know, and not necessarily faults, but like, even when we do good as a humble person, you're not out there like trying to show up and be like, hey, look what I did. You know, you're going to like it. You know, I'm going to share it with the whole world and make sure the whole world sees it and all that. I think, and you're cooking for your wife, as I am, as Tim is for his family. Out of love, like, you're doing it because you want to. 100%. You're not doing it because you know the after product is going to be photos and videos and all that. So,
right. Yeah.
And I get where you're coming from, where it's like, you know, that's not important cooking. I mean, the content isn't as important as the cooking. But I think if you can make content out of that, because I'm sure your cooking's fantastic because of how much love you put in, how much focus you put into it, that it'll definitely just mean more. It'll get a lot of likes, get a lot of
and I found that too. Yeah, when I get outside of my head and I just like you know just take the damn picture, you know, make a little blurb or voiceover. Everyone loves it, right? You know, and I think it's like this throwaway thing, and you know, people are like, when are you gonna? Actually, funny enough, I almost never check like my Instagram DMs. Like I just don't tend to go into that area of social media. And I checked last week, and there was a message from like maybe like the end of March, and this person had reached out to me asking if I would do like a private chef event for her fiance's 40th birthday, right? So, and it was like an old message, and I felt really bad, like, oh man, this lady sent me this message, and I don't even like. So let me just message her back. So I messaged her back and got her phone number, and was like, you know, call me and we can talk. I didn't really want to do the dinner thing, but I just wanted to talk to her and like understand what she was looking for. Maybe give her some resources, some caterers that I know that could execute her party. And I was like, well, you know, how did you even find me? Because I don't know this person. I don't follow them. So how did you even find me? She was like, well, my fiance is like a fan of yours.
Oh
wow.
That's awesome.
Like, who's your fiance? She was like, oh, his name is, you know, so and so. I don't think you know him, but he just kind of came across your page, and we were talking about what he wanted to do for his birthday. And he's like, well, you know, if this guy would cater it, I would really like love that, because
that's awesome.
I love his page. I love what he talks about. I love that he like posts about cooking for his wife. And I was just like, man, that's crazy. So just say all that to say, like, a lot of times we got to just get out of our own heads. You never know who's watching.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Take that imposter syndrome, shove it in a little box, and throw it in the fucking river, because clearly you've got fans, which is amazing, man. And
it was crazy.
And you know, we're gonna get some content going with this podcast and our socials. And
Jimmy, I got a quick question for you.
Let me hear it. What do you got for me?
All right. Why did the peach buy deodorant?
Why did the peach buy deodorant?
For his pets.
All right, everybody. That's another episode of Three Guys Walk into Culinary School. I'm Jimmy Ravanos.
Oh, man.
I'm Tim.
I'm Brian.
Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, send comments, emails.
Spade and neuter your pets.
Spade and neuter your pets. Review us. You know, reviewing and commenting is how people get more exposure to this podcast. So anything you could do to share that would be awesome. Find us on socials. We'll have links. We'll, you know, share some links of what we talked about today. But thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time. Peace.